Welcome to SAMMY channel, ladies and gentlemen. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button and hit all so that you will be notified regarding the latest updates. The content of this video is taken from available sources such as but not limited to the internet, and the author of this video does not represent any person or organization which will be presented. This is presented for educational purposes only, and yours truly do not claim the ownership of the content. The topic that will be discussed in the short video presentation, ladies and gentlemen, is about the Philippine Coast Guard, a topic under the subject Law Enforcement Organization and Administration, the interagency approach. Okay, and as usual, I will present the topic in Q&A form with rationalization. So let us proceed to question number 1. Which of the following organization is mandated and responsible to perform maritime search and rescue, maritime law enforcement, maritime safety, marine environmental protection, and maritime security? Letter A, Bureau of Customs. Letter B, Bureau of Immigration. Letter C, Philippine Coast Guard. And Delta is Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. And the answer for this question is Charlie. That is Philippine Coast Guard, no? And so Bureau of Customs is responsible for enforcement of custom laws. Bureau of Immigration is responsible for enforcement of immigration laws. And Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency is a law enforcement agency created under Dangerous Drugs Board, which was created by virtue of Republic Act 9165 as amended to enforce laws related to drugs, no? Yan. Then the Philippine Coast Guard naman, no? It is considered as the third armed and uniformed service of the country, primarily tasked with enforcing all applicable laws within the Philippine waters, conducting maritime security operation, safeguarding of life and property at the sea, and protecting the marine environment and resources. Ano ba yung mandate ng Philippine Coast Guard? Yung mandato nila. The Philippine Coast Guard is mandated and responsible to perform maritime search and rescue, maritime law enforcement, maritime safety, marine environmental protection, and maritime security. Okay, so yun po yung kanyang mandato. How about the vision? Okay, yung gustong maging ng PCG, or Philippine Coast Guard. By 2028, the Philippine Coast Guard is a world-class guardian of the sea, committed to save lives, ensure safe maritime transport, cleaner seas, and secure maritime jurisdiction. Okay? Ano naman ang misyon ng Philippine Coast Guard? Okay, sabi ng Philippine Coast Guard, we are a uniformed armed service that implements and enforces all national and international maritime safety, security, search and rescue, and marine environmental protection laws in support of the integrated maritime transportation network, objectives, national security, and economic development of the Philippines. Okay? So yun po yung mandates, vision, and mission ng Philippine Coast Guard. Okay, so let us proceed to question number 2. Question number 2. What is the law that established the Philippine Coast Guard as an armed and uniformed service attached to the Department of Transportation and Communication, which was approved by former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo on February 12, 2010, otherwise known as the Philippine Coast Guard Law of 2009? Letter A, Republic Act number 5173. Letter B, Philippine Commission. Letter C, Department Order number 2014-010, Delta Executive Order number 477 on April 15, 1998, or ECO Republic Act number 9993 passed on February 12, 2010. And the answer for this question, ladies and gentlemen, is ECO, no? Yan. So, ano nga ba yung history ng Philippine Coast Guard, no? The insular government, through the Philippine Commission, enacted on October 17, 1901, created the Bureau of Coast Guard and Transportation, which was placed under the Department of Commerce and Police. The captain of the port was designated as the Bureau Director. The Bureau of Coast Guard and Transportation was abolished on October 26, 1905, and its functions were taken by the Bureau of Navigation, and the Bureau of Navigation was authorized to take commissioned and enlisted service and to adopt its own manual of courts martial patterned after the U.S. Navy. However, the Bureau was abolished on December 19, 1913, and the organization and function were transferred to the Bureau of Customs and Bureau of Public Works until Commonwealth period. The Philippine Coast Guard was then a major unit of the Philippine Navy by virtue of Republic Act number 5173 as amended by Presidential Decree number 601. It is tasked to preserve the maritime sovereignty over the island. So, under Republic Act 5173, the Philippine Coast Guard was under the Philippine Navy. With the issuance of Executive Order number 477 on April 15, 1998, the Philippine Coast Guard obtained autonomy in its operation and became a civilian line function agency attached to the Department of Transportation and Communication. Okay, so take note doon, no? Under Executive Order number 477, the Philippine Coast Guard is a civilian line function agency. Okay, yan. On February 12, 2010, Republic Act number 9993 or the Philippine Coast Guard Law of 2009 was approved by former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, no? And it repealed Republic Act number 5173. Okay? Yan. So, it established the Philippine Coast Guard as an armed and uniformed service attached to the DOTC or Department of Transportation and Communication, pero ngayon ay Department of Transportation na lang, no? It sees the Philippine Coast Guard as a maritime law enforcement agency able to adequately and effectively respond in performance of its mandate function. So, ang Philippine Coast Guard ngayon ang pangatlong armed and uniformed service ng Pilipinas, no? Yan. On September 2, 2014, the OTC issued Department Order number 2014-010 restructuring the organization of the Philippine Coast Guard to respond to its enhanced mandate, functions, and responsibilities. Yan, no? Question number 3. Which of the following function of Philippine Coast Guard designed to prevent or minimize unnecessary loss of lives and properties at the sea? Letter A, maritime safety. Letter B, maritime security. Charlie, maritime search and rescue. Delta, maritime law enforcement. And Echo is marine environmental protection. And the answer for this question is Alpha. That is maritime safety, no? Yan. The Philippine Coast Guard is the country's vanguard or frontliner against the entry of unsafe foreign vessels into the country through its Port State Control or PSC. At present, The Philippine Coast Guard has 7 Port State Control Centers and 15 Port State Control Divisions all throughout the archipelago. The Philippine Coast Guard has its Port States Control Center in Manila, and it has the bulk of all inspection based on frequency of foreign ship calls. Pursuant to Republic Act 9993, the Philippine Coast Guard is mandated to enforce regulation in accordance with relevant maritime and international conventions, treaties, or instruments of which the government is signatory, and the national laws also. No? What is maritime safety or MARSAF function? No? It is designed to help prevent or minimize unnecessary loss of life and properties at the sea. The seaworthiness of every vessel leaving the port is ensured through the intensified mandatory pre-departure inspection, which include the compliance of vessels to safety standards and prevention of vessels from sailing for failure to comply with the standards, conduct of random emergency readiness evaluation and operational readiness evaluation in the ports, conduct of regular vessel safety inspections, and publication of Notice of Mariners or NOTAM, and the implementation and enforcement of navigational rules and designation of sea lanes, among others. Further, the Philippine Coast Guard is also responsible in issuing permits and supervises all marine salvage operation. It is mandated to destroy or tow floating hazard to navigation, such as but not limited to illegal fish traps and vessels. Moreover, navigational safety is ensured by operating and or maintaining servicing 565 lighthouses and more than 44 navigational buoys around the country, which guide and ensure safe voyage to mariners. No? Another function is maritime security. Ano naman yung maritime security, no? Aside from maritime safety. Yan. So, considering the archipelagic character of the country, it is vital to enhance the security of its different maritime zones to protect the integrity as a nation. In the performance of its function, the Philippine Coast Guard contributes to maintain good order at the sea by conducting regular patrol and surveillance for safety of navigation of ships, to safeguard ship from illegal acts and promote freedom of navigation. The Philippine Coast Guard is likewise mandated to secure exploration and resource utilization activities within the country's maritime jurisdiction. In its Sea Marshal Program, the Philippine Coast Guard manages composite security forces composed of AFP, PNP, and Philippine Coast Guard elements to protect voyages of passengers laden vessels in domestic roads. The Coast Guard also boasts of a newly established nationwide canine unit composed of highly trained sniffing dogs deployed in major ports throughout the country. Another function is Maritime Search and Rescue or MARSAR. The Philippine Coast Guard, in accordance with Convention of Safety of Life at the Sea or SOLAS, is a national maritime search and rescue service of the country. The Coast Guard Action Center or SIGAC at the Philippine Coast Guard headquarters in Manila, by virtue of current function and facility, serve as coordinating center for all search and rescue operation. The 12 Coast Guard districts are designated as Maritime Rescue Coordinating Council or MRCC within their areas of responsibility, while 59 Coast Guard stations are designated as Maritime Rescue Subcenters. The detachment under these stations are designated as Search and Rescue Units. Okay? Then another function of the Coast Guard is Maritime Law Enforcement or MARLEN. The Philippine Coast Guard is mandated to conduct maritime law enforcement and implement laws on fisheries and poaching, no? Migration, tariff and custom, forestry, firearms and explosive, human trafficking, dangerous drugs and controlled chemicals, and implement revised penal code and all other applicable laws within the country's maritime jurisdiction and battle transnational crime. No? The Philippine Coast Guard is authorized to board and inspect all watercraft suspected to be involved in use in illegal trade. The Philippine Coast Guard personnel are also deemed agents of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, Immigration, Customs, DNR, PDEA, and Interpol in the performance of its maritime law enforcement function. As a maritime organization under Republic Act 9993, it is deputized by 21 government agencies to perform maritime law enforcement functions directed towards suppression of piracy, smuggling, poaching, illegal fishing, illegal entry, human smuggling, illegal logging, drug trafficking, gun running, and terrorist activities. And another function is marine environmental protection. The Philippines is signatory to the IMO Conventions on Marine Pollution of 1973 and 1978, or MARPOL. The Philippine Coast Guard under RA number 9993 is sole agency responsible for Philippine implementation of convention with regards to oil pollution, prevention, mitigation, and control through the conduct of marine pollution monitoring and control, enhancement of Philippine Coast Guard capability, and oil spill response operation, enforcement of all marine environmental laws and regulations. Okay? Yun po yung mga mandates ng Philippine Coast Guard. Question number 4. To enforce regulation in accordance with all relevant maritime international conventions, treaties, or instrument and national laws for the promotion of safety of life, property at the sea in the jurisdiction or maritime jurisdiction of Philippines, and conduct port state control implementation. This is function of Philippine Coast Guard. This statement is letter A, true, letter B, false, letter C, partly true, letter D, partly false. And the answer for this question is alpha. That is true, no? So, you can visit Republic Act number 9993, Section 3 under the powers and function. Ayan. So, isa yan sa trabaho at kapangyarihan ng Philippine Coast Guard. Okay? Ano pa yung kanilang kapangyarihan? To inspect on all merchant ships and vessels, including but shall not be limited to inspection prior to departure, to ensure and enforce compliance with safety standards, rules, and regulation. To detain, stop, or prevent a ship or vessel which does not comply with safety standards, rules, and regulation from sailing or leaving the port. To conduct emergency readiness evaluation on merchant marine vessels, subject to the approval of Secretary of the DOTC, now DOTR, to issue and enforce rules and regulation for promotion of safety and life and property at the sea on all maritime-related activities. To coordinate, develop, establish, maintain, and operate aids to navigation, vessel traffic system, maritime communication, and search and rescue facilities within the maritime jurisdiction of the Philippines. They are also responsible for removing, destroy, or low to port, sunken or floating hazards to navigation, including illegal fish and vessels at close to sea lanes, which may cause hazard to marine environment. They are responsible to issue permits for the salvage of vessels and to supervise all marine salvage operation, as well as prescribe and enforce rules and regulation governing the same. To render aid to persons and vessels in distress and conduct search and rescue in marine accident within the maritime jurisdiction of the Philippines, including high seas, in accordance with applicable international conventions. In the performance of this function, the Philippine Coast Guard may enlist the services of other government agencies and merchant marine fleet. To investigate and inquire into all causes of all maritime accident involving death, casualties, and damage to properties. To assist in the enforcement of laws on fisheries, immigration, tariff, customs, forestry, firearms and explosives, human trafficking, dangerous drugs, and controlled chemicals, transnational crimes, and other applicable laws within the maritime jurisdiction of the Philippines. To board and inspect all types of merchant ships and watercrafts in performance of function. To enforce laws and promulgate and administer rules and regulation for protection of marine environment and resources from offshore sources or pollution within the maritime jurisdiction of the Philippines. To develop oil spill response, containment, and recovery capabilities against ship-based pollution. To grant, within the capabilities and consistent with its mandate, requests for assistance of other government agencies in the performance of their function. To recognize or to organize, train, and supervise the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary for the purpose of assisting the Philippine Coast Guard in carrying out its mandated functions. And last but not the least, to perform such other functions may be necessary in the attainment of the objectives of Republic Act number 9993. So, question number 5 tayo, no? What is the highest rank in the Philippine Coast Guard? Letter A, Commandant. Letter B, Coast Guard Admiral. Letter C, Coast Guard Vice Admiral. And Delta is Coast Guard Rear Admiral. And the answer for this question is Bravo. That is Coast Guard Admiral. Okay, so that is under Section 5 of Republic Act number 9993. Okay, yan. The Philippine Coast Guard shall be headed by a commandant. So yung commandant, yun po yung highest position and title. Okay? Take note of that. It is the highest position and title, yung pong commandant. Ayan. With the rank of Coast Guard Admiral. Okay? So ang highest rank is Coast Guard Admiral. Yan. That he shall be appointed by the President among the flag officers in the Coast Guard service. He shall hold a command at the sea badge and must have served as a district commander of the Philippine Coast Guard. The commander shall have a maximum term of 3 years. A commandant who has served 3 years prior to his compulsory retirement shall be considered retired and entitled to all benefits available to Coast Guard officer as if he is compulsory retired. Ayan. Okay? So, organization of the Philippine Coast Guard shall consist of the following officers and employees. The Philippine Coast Guard officers, the Philippine Coast Guard non-officers, the Philippine Coast Guard non-uniformed personnel, probationary ensign, and cadets and cadets. Okay, yan. So, what are the ranks of the Philippine Coast Guard? No? Naipattern po ito sa Philippine military or the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Okay? Yan, so may katumbas po doon. Yung pong Admiral ay katumbas po ng General, Vice Admiral ay katumbas ng Lieutenant General, the Rear Admiral ay katumbas ng Major General, Commodore is katumbas ng Brigadier General, yung Captain nila is katumbas ng Colonel, Commander ay katumbas ng Lieutenant Colonel, Lieutenant Commander ay katumbas ng Major, no? Yung Lieutenant ay katumbas ng Captain sa Army, Lieutenant Junior grade ay katumbas ng First Lieutenant, Ensign is katumbas ng Second Lieutenant, Probationary ensign ay katumbas ng trainee or awaiting for commission, probationary second lieutenant. Yan. Sa non-commission naman, they have the first master chief petty officer, yan, or the first chief master sergeant naman ang katumbas. Master Chief Petty Officer ay katumbas ng Chief Master Sergeant. Senior Chief Petty Officer katumbas ng Senior Master Sergeant. Chief Petty Officer ay katumbas ng Master Sergeant. PT Officer First Class ay katumbas ng Technical Sergeant. Petty Officer Second Class ay katumbas ng Staff Sergeant. Petty Officer Third Class ay katumbas ng Sergeant. Yung Seaman First Class ay katumbas ng Corporal. Yung pong Seaman Second Class ay katumbas ng Private First Class. Apprentice Seaman ay katumbas ng Private. At yung pong Candidate Coast Guard Guardsman ay katumbas ng Candidate Soldier. Ayan po mga kapangarap. Okay? Yan. Next question. What is the maximum tenure of Coast Guard Admiral? Letter A, 3 years. Letter B, 4 years. Letter C, 5 years. And Delta, 7 years. And the answer for this question, ladies and gentlemen, is Alpha. That is provided under Section 9 of Republic Act number 9993. That is maximum tenure in rank of Captain and Flag Officer in the Philippine Coast Guard. So, Coast Guard Admiral, maximum tenure is 3 years. Coast Guard Vice Admiral is 3 years. Coast Guard Rear Admiral is also 3 years. Coast Guard Commodore, 5 years. Coast Guard Captains, 7 years. Ayan, no? Yun po yung sa maximum tenure. Okay? Section 12 ng Republic Act number 9993 provides for the appointment of the Philippine Coast Guard officers. States that appointment of Philippine Coast Guard officer which shall be in the initial rank of Coast Guard ensign, no? Kasi officers, no? Shall be made by Secretary of the Department of Transportation and Communication, now known as DOTR or Department of Transportation, upon recommendation of the Philippine Coast Guard Commandant. The initial appointment ranks of chaplains, dentists, lawyers, medical doctors, and veterinarians shall be Coast Guard lieutenant. No person shall be appointed as an officer of the Philippine Coast Guard unless he is a natural-born citizen of the Philippines, at least 21 years of age at the date of appointment, physically fit, and is a baccalaureate degree holder. The appointment of Philippine Coast Guard Commandant and Flag Officers shall be approved by the President upon the recommendation of the Secretary of DOTC, now known as DOTR. Appointments of all Philippine Coast Guard non-officers shall be made by the Philippine Coast Guard Commandants. Appointment of all non-uniformed personnel shall be in accordance with the civil service laws, rules, and regulations. Okay? So, yun po yung tungkol po sa appointment. Okay? So, for more information, you can search for Republic Act number 9993. I hope that you have learned something from the short video presentation, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have learned something, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button and hit all so that you will be updated regarding the latest updates. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you all.